Hey guys, LaPrairie here. We had an amazing meeting with Lisa Beck. She's the CEO of Easter Seals BC. My intro video with her this morning got kind of technology issues. So I just wanted to say welcome, Lisa, to the office. We had a great discussion. You'll see it at the back end of this introduction. And it's all about helping Easter Seals raise money for kids with disabilities, getting engaged with your community and sharing ideas and collaborating with each other. It's a really good meeting. Have a watch. Talk to you soon. Bye.
We can do something as simple as all you guys as an individual by signing a form in this office, and anytime you receive your commission check from the brokerage, you have the ability of making a donation direct from that commission. You get a tax write-off. Our donation requests are anything from $25 or more. So we have in this office people doing 25, and I think the highest is 600. So, and it's a tax write-off. So do what you can, because think about this: if everybody just donated $50 and we did 1,000 transactions, that's a big number. It's a real big number, and you won't even notice it at all. So without giving a big pitch on that, look forward to seeing you on December 13th at the Parker Hotel just down the street here for the Christmas party. You'll get the details. Dress up, have some fun, not too many shooters. Everybody, this is Lisa Beck from Easter Seals. Let's give her a hand and welcome.
Welcome. Thank you so much for having me today, and thanks for your ongoing support. I've been at Easter Seals 5 years now. I was just telling him I joined a few months before the pandemic, so it was really interesting that we not only survived the pandemic, we thrived, and we were able to continue our programs and services, albeit in a different format. Previously, I was 8 years with the BC Professional Firefighters Burn Fund charity, and I helped them raise money and build Burn Fund Center, which you see at 23rd and Main, Vancouver. Very happy to be at Easter Seals. Very busy, lots of exciting challenges ahead. You know, for an organization that is celebrating 77 years in this province, is probably one of the few very long-standing established organizations. The founders were incredibly forward-thinking, and the premise was initially to support children with any kind of disability and helping them get to Vancouver for treatment. Our original Easter Seal house, which was 67 years ago, used to be located, it was a rooming house right beside VGH on 12th Avenue, because there was no children's hospital back then. So that's where children went to be treated, and the organization raised money to provide this accommodation for people coming into Vancouver. And while they were getting into that, they realized the hardship it was for people even to get into Vancouver. So looking at transportation and assistance that way, they started acquiring buses. So they had buses going from Prince George, bringing kids and their families down to Vancouver so they could receive their medical treatments. And that built over time into a fleet of 128 buses at one stage. And then the government looked at that and said, wow, what a great and much needed service. Some of these buses were staying in towns like Kelowna or Prince George to just move people around within the city, and some of them came back and forth for the medical care. The government said, we'd like to take this over, and it's handy dark today. So really proud of that amazing forward thinking contribution that Easter Seals has made. Then about 50 years ago, the organization acquired 30 camp properties around the province. One is in Squamish, so largely the kids and families from around the Lower Mainland will travel up to Squamish. We also have another camp in Lake Country. If you know where the Grey Monk Wineries is, Nectar of the Gods, our camp is directly located behind the winery. And we also have another property on Shawnigan Lake on the island. And we're currently doing a $25 million campaign to totally redevelop the property. It was old when it was acquired 50 years ago. It was a prep school at one time for Shawnee school for young boys to be moved along and into the school. And we are trying to achieve a really high level of universal design and accessibility. So it's going to be a beacon in North America, if not the world, on how you can achieve a camp and nature setting with so much accessibility for every disability we've thought about, sensory, physical, etc. So anybody that goes there that has a disability will know and be comfortable, have autonomy of movement around the site, because the site was built for them in mind and their disability. It will have a huge dining hall, 10 2-bedroom cabins, 12 hotel-like rooms, a great place for Century 21 to have their conference one day.
Wow, good idea.
So this is a slide that just tells a little bit about where people come from. So for Easter Seal House on Oak Street, we have 49 self-contained suites. It moved up to that location about 36 years ago to be closer to Children's Hospital, GF Strong, and BC Women's. We see about 30,000 guests per year in that site, which is quite amazing. And with our campers, at one time it was children only, excuse me. But over the years, as children age out who have a disability, once they're 19, so much stops for them. So many programs and services just end because they become of age. So that was a recognition that we made, and the bar on that age has been growing and getting higher and higher every year. And now we have some specialty, more senior kind of camps in the summer as well. Our oldest camper last year was 62.
Oh.
So it just shows the breadth of where people come
So there's hope for me.
from. You're welcome. We also do family camps to keep everybody together, and there's a lot of sharing and synergy that goes along. So this is one of our campers. You know, it's an incredible experience for the child or adult themselves to be among peers, to be among nature, to be taking risks, you know, in a family who has a child with a disability. Sometimes, a lot of times, it tends to be very, they're very coveted and sheltered and not really encouraged to go beyond their comfort zones and challenge themselves. And that's one thing that camp can do for them. In terms of the lifelong benefit, I can tell you we had a couple of campers get their 30-year certificates last summer. So it's really a lifelong journey for them to be part of the Easter Seals family. And during that week that they're with us with camp, we have registered nurses on site. Thank you, sorry, Friday. So we can fully take care of any medical need. And we don't turn anybody away, no matter what kind of disability they have or the high need that they might have. We try and accommodate them, and we're the only camp in the province that does that. As well for the families, while we're taking care of their loved one, it's a week that they can be free of the incredible journey that it is to parent a child with a disability. And for the other siblings also to get a little bit more attention perhaps from the parents and just have a rest and respite. So this gives you a bit of an idea of the types of disabilities that we're seeing today. This continually changes, especially with science and technology. You know, if we put this chart up 30 years ago, the number one today is autism, and it probably would have been Down syndrome. But because the way people are being able to be detected and treating issues, it's changed over time. As I was saying, Easter Seal House is a wonderful, wonderful place. It's a home away from home. The facility is at the age now where you guys would be very familiar with real estate and aging properties. Either it needs a big cash injection to give it some more life over the next 10, 20 years, or we have an opportunity now to reimagine it. So we've started a feasibility study to look at possibly doing some mixed housing within the site. We fully own the property. You wouldn't know it, but there's a beautiful garden area out the back of it. It looks like kind of a storefront at the moment. And with some of the zoning relaxations, we understand we can go up 18 stories there now. And we recently learned that the property immediately adjacent to us with the Royal Bank on it is actually for sale. So there's an assembly opportunity there too that we're hoping to explore, and we're talking to a whole bunch of different other nonprofit organizations that could possibly join us and create a very exciting hub of services together. So we heard a little bit about the C21 partnership. It's a national initiative that was started with Easter Seals Canada and Century 21. So we at Easter Seals across Canada work with Century 21 offices. And there's a couple of different ways that you can participate, as was already mentioned. Thanks. So the first appeal is around getting kids to camp, and I shared with you the wonderful benefits of that. In August this year, we will be having an open house at camp now that we're allowed to post-COVID. I think it's on the 15th, so we'll be sure to send you an invitation, and it's just a real different experience to see where the magic happens and also interact with some of the people that we serve, and you can really feel the inspiration firsthand of where your money's going. So we have Century 21 realtors supporting us in a multitude of different ways. You know, there might be the fellow that comes to our drop zone every year, and he raises $5,000-6,000 for people to sponsor him to drop off the Guinness Tower downtown. That happens every September. You can hold your own small little event, you know, like integrating it into your office party, whatever, is really, really great. Next slide. And we talked about looking at the program where you give a minimum of $21 per closing transaction. And then once you reach a personal goal of $2,100, then you get into the Golden Heart Century 21 award system, and there's a whole list of benefit of being in the club there. Yeah, so any questions?
So for a realtor that wants to start a fundraiser on their own, what's a good suggestion, a simple start?
Having a dartathon at your local pub. Hosting an evening backyard barbecue where you have some contests and collect donations that way. Having a 50-50 draw. You know, it doesn't have to be big, and every dollar counts. You know, you might think, how will my $500 help? It really does. We are not a government funded organization. So the millions of dollars it costs every year to put on those 3 camps is all from people like you. And it's a cumulative effort. And we so appreciate that and need it.
Can you make a donation today? Will you able to do that?
Sure.
This.
I can take it.
I think this will take you to
So Beta, there's a QR code to do it.
All right, I'll do it.
And
Okay.
if you go to our website, Easter Seals, ECY.ca, right on the front page, there's. And you could put in the notes, C21 appeal or just give us an idea that it's from us.
Is there any thought of bringing back the telethon?
Would love to. Telethons are super
we-
That
expensive.
was amazing when we did it.
Yeah,
Amazing.
and I'm told that the reason why it stopped is it just became cost prohibitive.
Mhm.
All the money that was raised went into putting on the event instead of it being, the people concerned. And as well, I think CBC at the time started shying away from committing so much resources to airtime.
Mhm.
So it's been a thought, and it would be a lot of fun to do maybe a mini version of that. We have been thinking about it. One of our board members, Marco Pasqua, was Timmy at one time, came to our camps, and now he's a professional. He's an accessibility consultant, motivational speaker. He lives with cerebral palsy, recently married and has a little girl, and he's a board member with us, and it's just amazing to see that legacy. Right?
Yeah. Because you wouldn't even necessarily need CBC in this
No.
day and age, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the other thing with the power of everything we have, plus it's in our hands. Yeah, might be an interesting thing.
You have to. Let's say use the Easter Seals name or anything. I'm gonna do an event next week, but I have to tell you first, or I can just say, by the way, I just raised $500 on behalf of.
You can do it that way, but certainly we would ask for notification.
Right.
We could give you copies of logos and whatever other kind of support, and for any of, we call these third-party events. We would help in any way that we can, if you wanted to do. Usually a raffle requires a license, even a 50/50. I know a lot of people just don't. But
Don't look at me.
they're easy to get, and that's something we can do as the charity, is take care of that side of things for you, because it does require some follow-up and reporting, etc. So yeah, you just get a hold of us and say we have an idea. And we also have a third party fundraising sort of information kit. It's just being revised now, but I'll make sure that it's sent over a copy.
Have you ever had anybody, since you've been there, do some kind of event using Easter Seals and then you do nothing about it and never saw the meeting?
Actually, just yesterday, unfortunately, fraud is everywhere. And this was a second report from a post-secondary institution where students were walking around asking for money from other students. And yeah, the student felt that it was a little iffy, and he gave the guy some money, and then he sent in an inquiry email to you and said, I'm just feeling kind of weird about this interaction I had. Here's what happened. So yeah.
Yeah. Happening a lot now with. Palestine and Israel, there are people downtown. I live downtown, they're walking in the boxes. They have nothing to do with all of it. Kids with all.
Does anybody else have any questions? Angel?
What are the volunteer opportunities during these camps?
Great question. We do some camp cleanup and prep time, so that's definitely one. And this year we're bringing back the sort of open house idea. So on August 15th up in Squamish,
Oh,
you can come and help us. We're gonna put on like a hot dog hamburger kind of lunch, and there'll be activities set up for the kids to go around. So we'll need some help organizing those. Last year we started a really fun evening. Instead of just your sort of typical gala, we got David Hawksworth on board to do a guest chef inspired evening at Terminal City Club. So that we're doing it again because it was so much fun, and we had wine donated for each pairing of the evening, and we're doing it again on August 10th or April 10th, next year. So there's lots of volunteering that we need help with there. And we've just started our committee a few weeks ago, so that's still a possibility too, if you're interested in helping gather silent auction items. We're still working on cash sponsorships right now. And then there'll be day of volunteer.
Any other questions? So I think, guys, I think there's a couple really great takeaways. That's number one takeaway. Click on it, make your donation, and I challenge, I just ask anybody in the real estate profession, I don't care who you work for, how tall or how short you are, make a donation. It'll make you feel good. It can be as small as 21 or as big as your arms can stretch, but just make a little donation. The little bits will help. To my team, sign the form, make a little donation on every check. You won't feel it and you'll get a tax break. Mike had a really good one. If you're going to do something for Easter Seals, reach out. They'll help you promote it. They might have a couple banners or something you can borrow and take back to make it look better. It's all about communication. And it's really all about momentum. Once you start, it starts to become easier. The hardest thing in this, in anything, whether it's sales, starting your own business, being a realtor, whatever, is starting. But once you start getting it going, it becomes a lot easier. So if we don't have any more questions, thank you so much. Hoya is here. He has about 15 minutes of something he wants to talk about. We'll let him get ready. He can come back out. But thank you guys for coming. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for
I
having
hope
me.
we can start really re-energizing this. Terminal City Club, I'm in. So if any events that you know that are coming up, it doesn't always have to be us. We can go join somebody else's event, which is probably a really good idea for networking. But anyway, it's all about this. It's all about the QR code. It's all about getting to the golden heart. And it's all about just chipping in and helping a kid that needs a little bit more love. Thank you so much for your
Thanks for
time.
having me.
All right.
Thank you.
Take care, guys. That's all we have today.